Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello kelas 8B.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello to Miss.
Hello to
Hello
Miss.
to Miss.
Okay, thank you. Since this is our first meeting in class, I will introduce myself. My name is Intan Nurjannah. You can call me Miss Intan. Now, I am going to check your name as well as filling the attendance list. If your name is called, please turn on your mic and say present and such.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Bagus, Danu, Prasetyo with student number 2020-125-0075.
Present, Miss.
Fikri, Ghali, Andra with NPM 2020-125-00738.
Present, Miss.
Okay, Leny Marrizka with student number 2020-125-00887.
Present, Miss.
Rifyal, Zidny, Akbar with student number 2020-125-00816.
Present, Miss.
Last, Septi, Kurnia, Lestari with NPM 2020-125-975.
Present, Miss.
Good. Since everyone here is present, we can discuss the material for today. Anyone here like to do storytelling?
I'd like to do storytelling, Miss.
I prefer to hear or read the storytelling from a game, especially.
I prefer to hear one as well, Miss.
Same as Septi, I like to do storytelling too.
I like to do storytelling, but by text.
Nice. Everyone has their own preference in storytelling. But do you know that the text form of the storytelling itself is called narrative text? And it will be our discussion for today. So, without further ado, let's read the materials together. Fikri, please read the first slide, narrative text.
Yes, Miss. Narrative text. A narrative is a piece of writing that tells a story. The story can be imaginary or based on real incident. A narrative always deals with some problem which leads to the climax and then turn into a solution to the problem. Communicative purpose: 1. To tell a story about something or someone. 2. To amuse or entertain the readers or listeners. Danu.
Okay, thank you, Fikri. As you can see here, narrative text is not a complicated text. It is a text which tells a story, as simple as that. Nothing much, nothing less. A story to tell. It can be fiction, which is to entertain, or it can be non-fiction, which contains real incident. Okay, next, Rifyal, please.
Yes, Miss. Text organization. Orientation sets the scene, where and when the story happened, and introduce the participants of the story, who and what is involved in the story. Complication. Tell the beginnings to the problem which lead to the crisis climax of the main participants. Resolution. Provide solution to the problem either in a happy ending or in a sad tragic ending. Reorientation, optional, gives a closing remark to the story. It consists of a moral lesson or advice. Don't miss.
Thank you, Rifyal. Before making a narrative text, we need to know the organization of the text, or sometimes we call it the structure of the text. The first thing to write is the orientation part, where you introduce the set and the participants of the story. This will engage the reader more, making them familiar with the story settings so they can connect with the story, especially their emotion. Then, you can add complication, the arising problems, the spice in the story which will catch your reader's curiosity, the conflicts that will bring us to the climax of the story. Last, the story needs resolution. It is how the problem and the story ended. It can be in a good or sad way. Also, some writer likes to add reorientation, which is a closing remark to the story. It can be a moral lesson or an advice. Next, Septi.
Alright, Miss, I notes. Sometimes a writer puts his judgment on a certain participant or a certain event. This is college evaluation. Example, there was once a mouse traveling through the forest. He was small but kind-hearted. Evaluations.
Thank you, Septi. Evaluation. It is a remark or attribute that the writer wants to show the reader about a participant or event. Easy as that. Got it?
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Yes,
Miss.
miss.
Okay, next, Leny.
Yes, Miss. Language features. One is past tense. Example, the lion woke up and grabbed the mouse in his sharp claws. 2. Nouns. Example, lion, mouse, hunter, etc. 3. Pronouns. Example, it, you, he, etc. 4. Noun phrase. Example, a sleeping lion, the grateful mouse, a strong net, etc. 5. Time connectives and conjunctions. Example, one day, sometime later, then, a long time ago, when, first, finally, etc. 6. Adjectives. Example, small, helpless, etc. 7. Adverbs. Example, sadly, angry, etc. 8. Adverbial phrase of time and place. Example, a few days ago, in the forest, etc. 9. Material process or action verbs. Example, grab, run, arrive, at, when, love, etc. Done, Miss.
Thank you, Leny. Like Leny read before, narrative text has its own language features, such as noun, pronoun, noun phrases, etc. But keep in mind, it is said that one of the features is past tense. It is a rule for narrative text to be written in past form. This is because narrative text is supposed to be an event that had happened in the past, and the storyteller retells it to the reader. Next, Bagus.
Okay, alright, miss. 10. Thinking verbs. Feeling verbs. Verbs of senses. Example, the lion felt hungry. The mouse thought he was clever. The hunter smelled something burning. 11. Direct speech. Example, please don't eat me. Begged the mouse. 12. Verbal processes or saying verbs. Example, asked, said, told, etc. 13. Indirect speech. Example, the mouse begged the lion not to eat him. Done, miss.
Thank you, Bagus. Here, we can see several differences between verbs and speeches. Material verb is a verb where the subject does something. Thinking verb, like its name, is thinking. Verbal verbs are the activity where the subject said something. Then the direct and indirect speeches. Direct speech is a speech that is directly said by the subject, while indirect speech is a speech that is retold by other perspectives. Examples of narrative texts can be found in our everyday life, such as in fairy tale, myth, legends, novels, etc. Septi, please read example 1.
Alright, Miss, I will be read example 1. The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was awakened from sleep by a mouse running over his face. Rising up angrily, he caught him and was about to kill him, when the mouse piteously entreated, saying, "If you would only spare my life, I would be sure to repay your kindness." The lion laughed and let him go. It happened shortly after this that the lion was caught by some hunters, who bowed him by ropes to the ground. The mouse, recognizing his reward, calm gnawed the rope with his teeth and set him free. Exclaimed, "You regretted the idea of my ever being able to help you, expecting to receive from me any repayment of your favor. I know you cannot that it is possible for even a mouse to can benefit on a lion. Don't miss."
Great! Now, can anyone identify the structures?
Bagus, Miss. A lion was awakened from sleep by a mouse running over his face. Is orientation.
Yes, Miss. It happened shortly after this that the lion was caught by some hunters, who bound him by ropes to the ground. It's the part of complication, Miss.
The mouse, recognizing his roar, came gnawed to the rope with his teeth and set him free. I think it's resolution, miss.
Okay, Fikri, read the next example, please.
Yes, miss. Example 2. The Man and His Two Sweethearts. A middle-aged man, whose hair had begun to turn gray, courted two women at the same time. One of them was young and the other well advanced in years. The elder woman, ashamed to be courted by a man younger than herself, made a point, whenever her admirer visited her, to pull some portion of his black hairs. The younger, or the contrary, not wishing to become the wife of an old man, was equally jealous in removing every gray hair she could find. Thus it came to pass that between them both he very soon found that he had not a hair left on his head. Done, miss.
Okay, thank you, Fikri. Okay, now you guys identify the structures.
Alright, Miss, is a middle-aged man whose hair had begun to turn gray, countered two women at the same time. Is the orientation, Miss?
How the whips threatening the middle-aged man is the complication.
Thus it came to pass that between them both he very soon found that he had not a hair left on his head. It's the part of resolution, Miss.
Great! Now, Bagus, read the last example.
Alright, Miss. Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl called Cinderella. She lived with her stepsister and stepmother. They were very bossy. She had to do all the homework. One day, an invitation to the ball came to the family. Her stepsister didn't let her go. Cinderella was very sad. The stepsister went to the ball without her. Fortunately, the fairy godmother came and helped her to get to the ball. At the ball, Cinderella danced with the prince. The prince fell in love with her, and then he married her. They lived happily ever after. Done, miss.
Thank you, Bagus. Okay, you guys can present the structure analysis.
Yes, miss. The first paragraph is the orientation because it introduces the participant and the situation.
The second paragraph is the complication because it explains that Cinderella's problems she cannot go to the ball, miss.
I think the third paragraph is the resolution because Cinderella's problems are resolved in this paragraph with a happy ending, miss.
Great job, everyone! Now for the exercises, please make them a homework. The deadline is next week.
And thank you everyone for the participation today and for the time. It was a great time. And see you next week everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you,
See
ma'am.
you next week,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.